Welcome to Musings and Modalities. I'm your host, Tristen Stawicki. Think of me as your pragmatic shaman bestie. Join in with other high vibe, lovely people as I unravel spiritual ideas to help create change and growth in your life. I cover a variety of spiritual topics, sharing knowledge to meet you wherever you are in your journey. As a shaman, astrologer, and human design reader, I help you understand how to make informed decisions and incorporate different modalities using discernment and your own intuition. Today, you will gain powerful shamanic healing tools you can use to incorporate spiritual practices in non-traditional ways. Whether you're just beginning or need a knowledgeable best friend with the next phase of your journey, I'm here to help. Stay tuned. Musings and Modalities starts now. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Musings and Modalities. I'm Tristen Stawicki, and I'm so excited for today's episode, Flowers for the Nervous System, Calm, Creativity, and Emily Cowan. Now, I want to talk a little bit about kind of some opportunities to work with me before I introduce our guest. I do have the opportunity in May for 5 sessions that have opened up in my shamanic healing. This session is really designed to set you up for your next levels of success and alignment. For that session, you bring 1 to 2 major intentions, and I work directly through your limiting beliefs and energetic roadblocks using Reiki and other powerful modalities, other powerful tools for a complete energetic clearing. If you've really been desiring a profound energetic shift and are tired of feeling kind of blah, tired, perhaps even a little bit mad in some of the recent kind of energetics in the collective, really stop thinking and start acting on the life you know you deserve. These spots will fill up quickly, so you can book your session with me now at musingsandmodalities.com, along with the direct link in the show notes. And now I want to welcome Emily. So Emily is a florist and the founder of the Blossomist, which is a traveling floral workshop experience designed to help people reconnect with creativity and beauty and a sense of calm. Through her workshops, she teaches not only floral design, but also how working with the flowers can support the nervous system, both in the process and in the enjoyment of the finished piece. Her love of flowers started at 17 with her first job at a local green, and she's been in the floral and plant world ever since. For the years, she's designed everything from elaborate wedding installations to simple, heartfelt eyes. What she discovered along the way is that she loves teaching just as much as she designs, and that became a name that reflects her role as someone devoted to the art of blossoming, both in flowers and in people. What a beautiful write-up. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you for being here, Emily.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Gorgeous. Your work with florals is so incredible. I've seen both in person and in photographs, and they're
Thank
really
you.
truly works of art. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you celebrate the beauty of flowers and also understand that I feel like flowers have their own personality, their own essence of what they bring. And so I'd love to hear about your approach to working with flowers.
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. My approach, I would say, is very, I like things that are very natural, very, even like whimsical. And I like to use flowers that, and use them in the way that they grow. So like if it's um, like I don't like to cut branches down too much because I like them when they're like crazy. I really enjoy floral design that feels natural, that feels like it's just growing out of the vase or out of the container that it's in. And I've always kind of been like that. I was never a super huge fan of like a super like tight arrangement, tight ball style arrangement. They definitely have their place for sure, but I like sticks and branches and things coming out of my arrangements.
That's beautiful. And has that process kind of evolved over time when you were kind of first learning at 17? Has that kind of shifted?
Yeah, absolutely. When I look back at the pictures of the things that I made when I was 17 and I like thought I killed it, now I look at it and I'm like, oh, sweet child. But no, my style has definitely, changed and evolved over the years, and it's gotten crazier and more wild as I've gotten older. And just the styles have changed too. So like when I was in my 20s and working at a flower shop in the Chicagoland area, the style for bridal bouquets was that tighter, more like ball-shaped style. That was the style. That was what was in, because flowers have trends just like clothing does, just like anything. Um, and while I did those, when I got to use stuff that felt more natural than when I had a bride who like wanted a little bit of greenery coming out, I would get really excited. And now it's evolved into this whole like I said, it's very natural, it's very flowing, whimsical, like I said, looks like it's growing.
That's beautiful. And I feel like when you're first learning a new skill, especially a creative one, you have to kind of learn the rules before breaking them. It's not,
Oh, for sure.
but
Yeah.
it is helpful to have that beautiful foundation. So then you go like, okay, that's why we did it that way. And also I love
Mhm.
the freedom to be able to change that and up level it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like learning a language. You learn the proper way to say things and then you learn the slang. Same thing with flowers. So I learned how to make those like triangle arrangements that you see, like you would see at like a church or whatever. Those are my arch nemesis. I hate those things. Um, but I learned how to do all of that, and it gave me that foundation to then, like we said, break the rules later. So
Mhm.
it was good.
And have you found in Charlotte and in the South there are different trends than in other places?
Yes. It was really interesting when I first moved down here. Um, Up north, up in Chicago, people did not want their roses to open. They wanted them to like stay closed and be like that perfect, like the emoji, like that perfect rose shape. And down here, people get upset if their roses don't open. And that was like it was wild to me. That was something that I was not expecting, because the amount of times like somebody would call because their red roses had opened when I lived in Chicago, and they'd be like, "My flowers are dead," and I'm like, "No, they're not. I promise you." They would send me a picture, and I would be like, "No, they're not dead. I promise. They're just doing what roses are supposed to do." So that was actually a really funny like culture shock down here, is that if they don't open down here, then we get in trouble too for that. So
Well, I also think I feel like rose gardens, especially like I remember my grandmother having one, and I feel like we grew up with them being on the land and that connection to land. And so it's
Mhm.
so fascinating that people in other regions perhaps have that disconnect from that like experience of the blossoming.
Yeah, well, and I mean up there it's a totally different growing area. Like I think we were like zone 4,
Oh,
which
wow.
is, and this we're like 8A here, so you didn't have a lot of roses because it's too cold.
Mhm.
It gets down to -20 on a regular basis. So like it's too cold for them. So I think that some of it is that you don't they're hard to grow up north. So I think that that's probably part of it.
Nope, that makes sense. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about your transition from designing into teaching and kind of how you
Yeah.
incorporated both of those elements.
Yeah, so I've been teaching for about 10 years now. And when it's funny, actually, when I lived in Chicago and was managing a flower shop there, I wanted to start teaching design classes. I thought that it just sounded really fun to me. And I got shot down by the the owners of the stores. They had multiple locations in the Chicagoland area, because they were like, well, if you teach people how to do that, then they're just gonna do it on their own and they're not gonna buy from us anymore. And I was like, I don't think that's true. Because it's a lot of work,
Yeah.
and it's not like you take one class and suddenly you're a floral designer, right? Like, anyways, so when I moved here and I worked at a local shop, just part-time, I brought it to the owner of that store and I was like, hey, I think this would be really fun and be a great way to get people in. And they were like, let's do it. And so I started teaching, and I have loved it for the past 10 years. And then several years ago, I became their lead designer and I was there full time. And I ended up getting really, really burned out because I did all of the weddings, all of the daily design, the website, the social media, the shopkeep, all the things except for the books. So um, I ended up getting really, really burned out and left. And then about a couple months later, this a friend of mine, a new friend of mine, approached me. She owned a store in downtown Mooresville, and she was like, "Hey," she had taken one of my classes at the flower shop, and she was like, "Would you want to come teach here?" And I was like, In my head, I was like, no, because I didn't want to touch flowers. I was so burned out. I didn't want to look at them. I didn't want them. It was like heartbreaking for me. It was really hard. And but I I kind of begrudgingly said yes. I was like, all right, I'll try it. And it actually just teaching totally healed my relationship with flowers. And they've become something that I love again. And the what I love about teaching is it's low stress, low stakes. Like it's if the flowers come in and they're bad, I just switch to a different flower and nobody knows. Like it's not like a wedding where if all of the roses come in bruised, well, we got to figure something out. It's not as stressful. But what I also really love about it is that people come in and they are not every time, but sometimes apprehensive, they're anxious, they're like, I have a black thumb, like I'm not creative at all. And by the end of the class, they walk out and they're like, I made this. Like look what I made, and they're really excited. And it's so rewarding when I see that transformation. It's over the course of an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like all of a sudden they're like, whoa, I am creative. And that's my favorite part.
That's beautiful. And I love that, even in 90 minutes, right? People kind of forget the level of healing and release. And
Mhm.
no matter what they're doing, whether it's energy work, working with flowers, just spending time outside, right?
Yeah.
Like where
Yeah.
they're just not in front of a computer or a phone and they're actually
Mhm.
doing something,
Yeah.
outside of that. It's so, so beautiful and so necessary. One of the reasons why I got my 1,000 hour herbalism kind of certification is because I was like, I was sick of the idea that I didn't know how to, like, I had a black thumb, that I didn't know how to work with
Hmm.
flowers. I'm like, so many people have figured out how to do this, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is
Yep.
absolutely, I have the ability to learn. And so
Yes.
I'm so glad that you were also able to share that with people, whether or not they continue, right? But at least
Yeah.
they have that confidence that if they choose to engage more with flowers,
Mhm.
they can make something beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then I have people who now have come back for multiple classes. Because I make a different arrangement every single time. Like in the 10 years that I've been teaching, I have never made the same arrangement twice.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
So every time you come, it will be different. And it may be the same style or similar flowers, but just a different color palette, but I've literally never made the same arrangement twice. And I pride myself on that too, because I want you to be able to come to multiple and not, it's also boring. I don't want to teach the same thing every time. So, but yeah, it is just it's wonderful to because you're touching things, right? You are touching a physical object and you're literally touching grass. As the kids like to say, you got to go touch some grass. But you are creating something beautiful and then so you get the benefits of creating it and then you get to look at it for a week to 2 weeks because I teach you how to keep your flowers alive longer too. And so you get the benefits then also of looking at this beautiful thing that you made and feeling proud of yourself and all of those things.
That's gorgeous, especially to have both the instant gratification, right? You
Mhm.
made something, you could take it home, and then the over, 2 weeks to have that beautiful reminder of the experience. Especially, I'm sure people go with their really close friends or their
Yeah.
family members, and so it's so lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's gorgeous. Now, we met several weeks ago at an incredible event in Charlotte that friend of the
Mhm.
show, Christy Straw, hosted.
Hi,
And
Christy.
hopefully always listening. No, I'm just kidding.
Hopefully.
I had worked with her on Reiki gift cards for her clients, and it was so sweet of her to kind of gift you that experience. So, so glad that we
Yeah.
got to do that together. And then you worked with her on an event where you were able to kind of craft flower crowns. If you could talk
Mhm.
to us about that experience.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was for her Better Stories studio, and we surprised all of the speakers with flower crowns. And each one was different because everybody is, their own unique person. Um, and the way these women's eyes lit up when they discovered
Mhm.
that they were getting flower crowns, it was so beautiful. And they were saying things like, I feel so powerful with this on. I feel so like And some of them were like, this is it's just like this, it's like you made it for me. And I didn't even know who they were. It was like it was perfect. And it made them feel so good and like gave them a little extra boost of confidence. And then like yeah, it was really, really fun.
Oh, that's so rewarding, especially when you think about, I imagine you tap into a level of creativity and energetics, right? When you are making
Hmm.
the crowns, even if you don't know the recipient, like there's some element that kind of pulls you to, oh, let's add this, let's do
Yeah.
that, as it's taking shape, which is so lovely that they really resonated with that.
Yeah, I mean the amount of times it's happened so many times over my entire career of being a designer where I am putting things together and I'm just like, oh yeah, I really like this. Ooh, and I want to use that. And then I give it to the person or, the recipient will call and tell the sender even like it's like you were in my head. Like it is
Wow.
very much and I'm very intentional about picking flowers and colors and whether I know why I'm picking them or not. But it is very much like I'm like there is an energy to it, and even just some things like there are certain flowers, every flower has like a meaning, and sometimes I ignore that meaning because I like the flower.
Right.
You know, but like one of my favorite things to do, especially in um, like a funeral arrangement or something, or like a memorial arrangement, is to put rosemary in it because rosemary means in memory of.
Mm.
And so and whether people know that or not, I know that. So like I like to put that energy and that care into everything that I do.
That's so lovely and so touching. I wanted to kind of ask about as we, wanted to share some kind of concise ways that the audience can kind of learn from our conversation.
Mhm.
So I'd love to hear those, 3 tips that you kind of share at your workshops, and in person, to help kind of our audience and even me, make beautiful
Yeah.
arrangements.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're crafting an arrangement, I tell everybody this in my workshops, you always want to start with either what you have the most of or what takes up the most space. And then work your way out. So, like if you have hydrangeas, you always want to start with those. Maybe do your greenery first, and then put your hydrangeas in because they take up a lot of real estate in your arrangement. And then maybe go in with your roses, and then maybe like your filler after that. You don't want to start with your filler and then try to fit this huge hydrangea in between all those teeny cute little flowers. So that first is, yeah, start with what you either have the most of or what's going to take up the most space. The second thing is to remove all of the leaves from the stems. You don't want any leaves in your water. The reason why is leaves are food for bacteria, and bacteria will get into the ends of those stems and clog them, and then that's what kills your flowers. Ultimately, that for the most part is what kills your flowers is bacteria growth. Um, so removing those leaves removes that food source and allows you to keep them alive longer. And then also part of that, kind of part B of that, is change your water. Change your water every day or every other day, because you're going to help to flush that bacteria colony out. Um, and then the last thing you hear all the time, oh, cut flowers at an angle. That is absolutely true. That is 100% true. You always want to cut at an angle because when you cut straight across, this is a you get a geometry lesson when you come to one of my workshops, you get an English lesson, a physics lesson, a geometry lesson, and a biology lesson.
Yeah.
So the geometry lesson is when you cut at an angle, it creates an oval at the end of your stem. If you cut straight across, it creates a circle. So when you cut at an angle, it creates an oval. An oval has greater surface area than a circle does, meaning your flowers can drink more water. It's easier for them to drink water. So always cut at an angle.
Beautiful. And is that underwater or does that depend on the flower, whether to cut?
Um, Depends on the flower. Like tulips, you want to cut underwater, but most flowers you don't have to. And honestly, even when I was a florist full time, I never cut anything underwater because there just wasn't time. Um,
Yeah.
but cut it and put it in water right away. Don't cut everything and let them sit out because those little capillaries will start to close. So cut it, put it in water right away.
Gorgeous. Oh, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
On the show, we really love talking about energy and giving gratitude when working with the elements. And so I wanted to talk about kind of the most woo thing you do with flowers and how you give thanks to them.
Yeah, yeah. So for me, it like I said earlier, like just knowing the energy of the flower or knowing what it means. Because I think that comes across whether or not you know. To me, so that for sure is like I said, putting rosemary in funeral arrangements, even if it's just like tucked in there, like just a little bit. Um, that and then also just I love to like go forage and use things from the earth. Like right now I have a vase of roses from my garden on my desk right now, right here. And just appreciating them. I only cut a few because I want everybody else to still be able to enjoy them and have the plant, thrive. But I also get to enjoy them myself and enjoy all of my hard work in growing them. Um, and just like I think also just appreciating the unusual flowers, the unexpected flowers, the unexpected textures in an arrangement. I like weird stuff. I love, don't get me wrong, I love a peony, I love a garden rose, but I love like a weird flower that you've never seen before in an arrangement because I think there's so many beautiful things in our world that you can incorporate, and so I want all of the flowers to be appreciated.
Especially when you think about over harvesting, right? So the ability to see
Yes.
like, hey, here's this surprise and delight, and hopefully that's
Yeah,
something that's under harvested to give a little bit more balance too.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, there are so many flowers out there that you don't even know about because half the time when I walk into the wholesaler, I'm like, what is this? You know? And it still happens. I'm 19 years into this, so it still happens where I'll walk in and I go to my sales girl and I'm like, "What is this?" You know, like I hold it up because it's something that I've never seen before.
Love that. It just gave me a great idea, and I'm sure you already do this, but as you travel, visiting other flower shops, or wholesale shops that have flowers,
Hmm.
because I'm sure, as you go, to different places in Europe or, even regionally around the US, what's available, what have in stock, the season it's in. That's such a cool idea.
Yeah, yeah, and even just going to like botanical gardens and just seeing what people grow. Half of my camera roll is full of pictures of flowers and plants. Um, so it just being able to see even what grows in other regions is amazing. I mean, there's things that there's a flower called protea, and there's 1,000 different kinds, but that grows naturally in South Africa. And that's where they come from. That's where, like, when you get them in an arrangement, they've come from South Africa. Um, and I would love to travel to South Africa to see, because they just grow wild there. They're like, um, like phlox or like those little blue cornflowers that you see here, or like, daylilies that grow on the side of the road here. Like that's how it just is there. They're just everywhere. So I think that would be, you know, I love to do that.
Mm. Yeah, I just spent some time in Denver and they had a beautiful rock garden in their botanical gardens. It was just stunning, right? And also I'm a humidity girl and being in Denver, there was a kind of you went into an area that felt like it had all the humidity, it had orchids and everything. And I was just
Uh-huh.
like, oh, I could breathe again. Both my husband and I, we're like, oh, we'll just stay in here for like 20 minutes just to be able to breathe because we're so
Yeah,
sunny.
that's so funny.
But yeah, it was to your point, it's absolutely incredible to be like, oh wow, there's so much beauty in different kind of habitats to
Hmm.
see a lot of purples, stick out in between all of the kind of different colors of beige, in that
Yeah,
kind of desert
yeah,
environment.
yeah.
For our kind of last question, I'd love to talk about, if there's any misconceptions we haven't discussed about creativity, working with flowers, and the work that you do that you'd like to share for folks.
Yeah. So one of the questions that I get asked a lot is like, what goes with what? What flowers go with what flowers? And my answer is always pick what you like. If you like sunflowers and lilies, do it. Like it's flowers are for everybody. And so if if you like a bunch of different random things and you don't think they go together, it doesn't matter because they're for you, right? So that's my biggest thing that I always tell people, like flowers, all flowers go with all flowers. You can mix and match them however you want. I mean, maybe certain things like for a funeral, you might do this or a wedding, you might do that, but like honestly, you can also do whatever you want. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. And just the fact that like anybody can arrange flowers. You can do it. I like in my classes to kind of like a paint and sip, but with flowers. But I also say that it's easier than a paint and sip. I've done paint and sips and I find them stressful because I can't finish
Same.
the painting in 2 hours.
Yep.
Um, but being able, like when you come and take a class, you go home with a finished arrangement and nobody goes home with ugly flowers. Flowers can never be ugly. So,
Oh, that's gorgeous. Thank you so much for being here. Where can the
yeah.
audience find you? And is there anything upcoming you'd like to share?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at the Blossomist NC, North Carolina. You can also find my website, theblossomistnc.com. I'm on Facebook as well. I've got 3 classes coming up in June. One is June 3rd, one is June 17th, and the other is June 23rd. And I'm really excited for those. I'm going to teach you 2 of those it's called a hand-tied bouquet class. So you'll learn how to take any bouquet of flowers that you get at the grocery store or wherever, and you can make a beautiful arrangement. I'll teach you how to do that. And the one on the 17th is a traditional like vase arrangement class.
Oh, that sounds incredible. Thank you so much for watching Musings and Modalities. Tune in the second and fourth Thursdays of each month at 3:30 p.m. Pacific, 6:30 p.m. Eastern for more fabulous episodes. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to Musings and Modalities with me, Tristen, your pragmatic shaman bestie. For more powerful healing tools, join me every second and fourth Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. I cover a variety of topics to meet you wherever you are at on your spiritual journey. Learn techniques to work with pendulums, past life healing, astrology, and more. Please share the show and subscribe for more guidance from your pragmatic shaman bestie at musingsandmodalities.com.